Hey Alpha Nation, what's up? Todd Lamb here, and today we are talking about some more man skills. Listen, I can teach you to move weight, I can teach you to fight, I can even teach you to shoot. But if you get out or you get home and you can't even tie a knot, all that other cool stuff falls apart, man. You look like an idiot when you can't do the simple things that guys should have learned when they were kids. So today we're going to cover a tutorial on how to tie some knots that you can use in a variety of situations. One of the things that I was able to do when I was in the tactical unit and even when I was in the military, back when we would tie Swiss seats, Jesus, you want to be uncomfortable? Rappel in a Swiss seat. But when I was with the team, I got to the level of rappel master instructor. I took that course out in Toronto with the ETF out there. Fantastic course. But one of the things that I loved about it was all the knots that we learned. But here's the thing about knots. It's a perishable skill. So if you don't have yourself a piece of paracord long enough that you can keep working on them, when it comes time to use one, you will absolutely be lost. So I'll give you the basics here on 7 knots. I'm going to go over an overhand, which is basically just a granny knot, but those are good finishing knots if you're tying different ones. I've got a clove hitch, I've got a bowline, I've got a figure eight. Figure eight is one that we use routinely to tie anchors at the end of a cordelette or the JTF2 anchor. What else am I going to teach you guys? A square knot, a sheet bend. I'll probably do double fisherman's as well. Sheet bend we use for connecting ropes of uneven diameter, and then we use a double fisherman's on each end to tie ropes together that are of the same diameter. We also use double fisherman's when we're on a length of rope, we tie it together, then we create a prusik which you can use to get yourself unfucked when you get tangled in your rappel line. Or if you even want to use it as a braking mechanism, you can just spin it off, lower yourself, tighten her back up. Really cool. Again, the prusik's completely different from the double fisherman's, but the double fisherman's knot is what we use just to create those prusiks. Anyways, so we're going to go over those knots. What I'm going to do is take the camera, I'm going to set it down with a white sheet here and put some lights on it so you can kind of see how the loops and bends are traveling in the working end as well as the standing end. All right, guys. Hope you enjoy these knots. You're going to use them, practice them, just like you practice your fight skills, shooting skills, your weightlifting skills, practice your knots. Come on down. Okay guys, so I've laid out a white sheet here to try and make it a little bit easier for you to view. And I'm just going to cut the camera to my hands here. I'll run you through a couple of the basic knots that I mentioned earlier. First one is your very simple overhand knot. It's a stopper knot. You can also use it to dress off your lines if you're connecting ropes. And at the end of each knot or each connection point, you can use an overhand or even, I think some people call it a granny knot. The one where if you don't know how to tie knots, you tie lots. Just simply, you're just making a loop and you're coming through. Just a basic overhand knot. Turn it over there. That's all we did. I'm tying these in reverse while looking into a camera, so it's kind of messing with my head a little bit, but regardless, I'll do my best here for you. There's your loop, and you're just tying that knot. That's your basic overhand knot. Secure it by pulling on each end. Next, we're going to cover the sheet bend. A sheet bend's used for connecting two ropes of uneven diameter. So you've got one that's bigger than the other. All you're going to do here is make a bite. This is called a bite. You can just call it a turn, a loop, whatever it is that you want. You're going to take your smaller one, you're going to go through, You can see that there. You're going to go around the outside, part one, underneath, giving yourself enough room. And at this point, this is where you need to pay attention. A lot of people will just try to slide it in there. You're actually coming underneath the rope that you slid in there. So you can see that there, that's underneath, and then you're just going to secure it. There's a sheet bend. All there is to it. Now, if you've got this long tail, you can just do an overhand knot at the end of it, just to dress it off. It looks a little neater, a little tidier, then you don't have any ends sticking out that you don't want them, so that nobody will get anything caught on it. Just dressing off your knots looks way more professional than just leaving an end. So, and to undo a sheet bend, really easy. Just push them towards each other. That's all there is to it. Remember, again, sheet bend can be used for connecting two ropes of differing diameters. You can see these ones are quite a bit different in size. Next is a square knot. Same idea. You've got your loop that you create. You're coming through that loop. You're going around the outside and coming back. Now this time you're going back in. You can see it there. And you're just going to pull to secure. Same idea with connecting two ropes of even diameter or uneven diameter, and then just to dress it off at the end, an overhand knot. Looks nice and professional from that point forward. That's a square knot. Your square knot is also known as a reef knot. Next one is a very common knot. It's called the bowline. I'll just try to set this up in a way that it's easy for you to see. You're just going to make a loop on one end. So now you have it looking like this. And there's a saying about a rabbit coming out of the hole, running around the tree, and going back down in the hole. If that's what works for you to remember how to tie it, that's great. So you come this way underneath, then you're going to go around. That would be your tree. And then you're going to go back down into the hole and secure that knot. That's a bowline. Just go over it quickly. You've got your working end, this end here. You're going to create a loop. Now with your working end, you're going to come up, around, and back down into that hole and secure that knot. That's a bowline. Next is going to be a clove hitch. I didn't use clove hitches much in climbing. I certainly use them in my commercial diving days for securing boats to the systems that we were diving on. So if you want to secure rope or anchor something to a secure pole or something of that nature, for the purposes of the demonstration, we'll just decide that this is a secure piece of steel or something that we're going to tie our clove hitch around. So you're going to go over, leave yourself lots of slack in your working end, Then you're going to come back and go over a second time. Once you're over your second time, you can see where everything is. All you're going to do is pull that back on itself and secure it. That's your clove hitch. Then you just dress that off at the end again with a round knot. There's lots of different variations you can do. You could make a slip knot there, something you can just pull and release really quick. And then you just undo it. And a figure eight. We use figure eights a lot in climbing, or rappelling, actually not so much in climbing. What we would use, these would be figure eights on bites, something like this, where you create a loop, you're going to go around, set that on top, come underneath, and then back through itself. You can see that it's now a figure eight. You can clip into that if you need to. That would be from your anchor point. Let's say your carabiner would go inside there, and you could run a leg bag down the side of a building using a figure eight with ears or something like that. But that's a figure eight on a bite. If you want to just do a single figure eight, all you do, start with a turn. That's your first step in it. You can see that this is over top. You're then coming underneath. You can see that. And then you're going into that loop. And that gives you your figure eight. Now what you could do is, if you had to wrap a tree or something, you could wrap it, or a small branch, however much you have on your working end, and then you can feed it back through itself. Remember, this is around something solid. You're just following, retracing the exact same direction as the original figure eight. Now you have that same figure eight that I showed you on a bite. So that's the knot. Again, you can clip your beaner into that with a leg bag if you wanted to get down the side of a building, if you're so inclined. If you're not, you could just use this around a solid object and feed that back through itself to give you a secure figure eight knot. Make sure it's dressed. When I say dressed, what I mean is you don't want the line crossing over itself. Anytime you can flatten it out to make sure it stays nice and strong, that's what you want to do. And just finish it with a round turn or a round knot to give you that nice, clean, finished knot. Those are some knots you can use to do a variety of different things around the house, outside camping, in the bush, if you want to rappel. Those are just some starting knots that you can learn. I'll see you in a sec. All right, guys, so what I wanted to demonstrate there was just some very basic knots that you can use in addition to all these other man skills that I think are very important. We'll see you in the next video.